For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. The U.S. has launched airstrikes in Syria, killing at least 11 people, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, an opposition war monitor. The Pentagon says the precision strikes were in retaliation of a suspected Iranian-made drone that killed a U.S. contractor and wounded 5 American troops and another contractor. The U.S. strikes hit 3 separate cities and reportedly targeted facilities used by groups affiliated with Iran's Revolutionary Guard. The deadly exchange threatens to upend recent efforts to de-escalate tensions across the Middle East, whose rival powers have made steps towards détente in recent days against years of turmoil. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said in a statement the American intelligence community had determined the drone was of Iranian origin, but offered no other evidence to support the claim. The strike comes after U.S. lawmakers failed to pass a war powers resolution to withdraw some 900 troops from Syria. Syria's civil war between U.S.-backed Turkish and rebel opposition forces and Russian and Iranian-backed government have killed some 300,000 civilians since the war began in 2015. Israel's Attorney General is warning Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu he violated the Supreme Court's conflict of interest ruling for negotiating a law that would shield him from the High Court amidst a corruption trial Netanyahu's undergoing. Today's warning comes as Netanyahu's far-right ruling coalition passed a law that would protect him from being deemed unfit to rule because of his corruption trial and claims of a conflict of interest led by the nation's highest court. The move has sparked widespread civil unrest across Israel, and it's followed Netanyahu as he visits the United Kingdom's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak in London today. The AP's Charles de Ledesma reports.
Mr. Netanyahu, your own Attorney General says you're breaking the law.
Netanyahu's visit to London comes as Israel faces a national crisis over his government's plans to overhaul the judicial system. As thousands of people took to the streets of Israeli cities on Thursday, Netanyahu, who's on trial for corruption, has defiantly pledged to proceed with the overhaul, which gives Israel's most right-wing coalition in history more control over judicial appointments, weakens the Supreme Court by limiting judicial review of legislation, and allows Parliament to overturn court decisions with a simple majority. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
In the U.S., the CEO of TikTok faced a grilling from lawmakers in a 5-hour hearing on the controversial social media app. Some lawmakers are proposing a ban on the company, which is in part based in China, over concerns the app could be weaponized by the Chinese Communist Party to collect private data, spread misinformation, or even influence a presidential election. Christopher Martinez has more.
In his opening statement, TikTok CEO Shou Chew said TikTok's parent company ByteDance is not owned or controlled by the Chinese government, but rather is private, based in Los Angeles and Singapore, and he added TikTok is not even available in China. Chew offered several commitments to the committee and TikTok users.
Number 1, we will keep safety, particularly for teenagers, as a top priority for us. Number 2, we will firewall protected U.S. data from unwanted foreign access. Number 3, TikTok will remain a place for free expression and will not be manipulated by any government. And 4th, we will be transparent and we will give access to third-party independent monitors to remain accountable for our commitments.
There's no real evidence that TikTok has ever shared data with the Chinese government or the Chinese Communist Party, but concerns are widespread. Republican Congressmember Michael McCall of Texas recently called TikTok a spy balloon in your phone. Chew's testimony did not appear to sway any minds on the Commerce Committee, where taking on TikTok seemed almost a surrogate for confronting China. I'm Christopher Martinez.
The Nebraska legislature has voted to advance a contentious bill that would ban gender-affirming care for minors. The vote came despite threats from some lawmakers they would filibuster the rest of the session in protest. Meanwhile, Georgia will ban most gender-affirming surgeries and hormone replacement therapies for transgender people under the age of 18, with a new bill signed into law by Governor Brian Kemp Thursday. Iowa's Governor Kim Reynolds has signed a pair of laws restricting the bathrooms transgender students can use and banning gender-affirming medical care. The World Athletics Council has voted to ban transgender track and field athletes from international competition. The council also adopted new regulations that could keep other athletes with differences in sex development from competing. In a pair of decisions expected to stoke outrage, the World Athletics Council adopted the same rules as swimming did last year in deciding to bar athletes who have transitioned from male to female and have gone through male puberty. No such athletes currently compete at the highest elite levels of track. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.